Hey guys, and welcome back to Wind Waker HD. We're under the sea, and please refrain from quoting any Little Mermaid songs. We will get sued. Please stop.
Also, we're drowning.
I fucking love this. Watch this. Not bad.jpg.
Like, well, okay. Drowning, not as bad as I thought.
That and the get double magic animation. Perfect justifications for making this a cell shaded game.
Like, I don't get how you can argue against Toon Link's design when he makes faces like those.
Mhm.
Like, what is wrong with you? Do you not comprehend how adorable and how amazing these faces are?
How did you feel when you first got to this section, if you can even remember back that far?
Okay, so believe it or not, I was an idiot, and it took me about 5 seconds to realize where I actually was.
Mm-hmm.
Like, now I look, it's like, oh, obviously I'm back in Hyrule Castle. I think it took until I actually entered. I was more like, wow, okay, so what, the ocean is fake? Are we actually in the sky? I think that was probably one of my first theories, was that this was the actual ground, and where Link lived was the sky. Which, no. I think I may have given Nintendo terrible ideas. Yes, Link, trust the boat. Please trust what the wood boat has been saying, because it has led to nothing but great things so far.
Well, we've been on a kick-ass adventure, so I don't know what you're bitching about.
I was supposed to save my sister. Do I have a sister back yet? No.
Oh, we're getting to her in the next part, I swear.
The eyes glow. Why do they glow?
Just a side effect of the bloom, I guess.
Funny thing about that painting is that there is a counterpart to that picture on Tetra's pirate ship, where you'll notice that all of the advisors or whatever that are surrounding Princess Zelda, they all have a pretty much clone that is on Tetra's pirate ship. Because we gotta spoil the spoiler before it comes around.
It's pretty obvious what's happening, let's be honest. Also, in the original, wasn't this black and white instead of sepia tone?
Yeah, and that is one thing that a lot of people were a bit upset about. I like the black and white just because, it's a pretty good way to signify, like, either lifelessness or just a complete stop. Sepia just makes everything look old.
It's funny because the original Twilight Realm in Twilight Princess was actually black and white, just going by the early videos and whatnot, and then it became like proper Twilight. I kind of did like the black and white, but it ended up looking pretty good. Here I have to agree, I much preferred the original black and white. This doesn't look bad, I'm just going with personal preference there.
It just gives me the wrong taste. Like, the atmosphere is different. Like I said, this just makes everything look old. Like, okay, everything's old, whatever, but black and white just gave that sense that everything stopped. Like, there's no life in this area.
That's a good job that was a really hard puzzle. Otherwise Gandalf would have been able to get inside that thing.
It's a good thing that Zowardo has taken effect over the entire castle.
Oh, thank God you said it and not me, because I was busting at the seams right there.
You can relax and calm down. Can we just throw our sword just right in front of his face?
I tried to do selfies, but I don't think I did it correctly.
You wanted a picture with a moblin, and instead you took a picture with a moblin butt.
Well, gotta put something on Facebook.
Yeah, you're not doing a real good job with this. Although it does seem a bit confusing, with where do you have to look to get what you want behind you in these selfies? So, yeah. Not a well-implemented mechanic, I must say.
Well, it was more me being confused than anything, but I digress. This room is pretty great. As we can see, we have come to the point where we get a bit of a sword upgrade.
We've come to the point where we can get the spoiler windows.
Oh, yes.
Do you show them off? Or do I have to talk about them?
I think I show them off after I get the Master Sword.
Okay, coolio. Although the pedestal is kind of creepy because you have all the, like, bowing, worshipping people before the sword.
It's symbolic.
It is symbolic, but it's also the exact same art style that the prologue was in. I really thought this was a boss fight coming up. I really did. I was prepared to fight giant suits of armor with my new sword.
That would have been bitchin'.
But no, we've already had our dungeon. We already had our boss fight.
Splash a bit of colour onto this sepia fest. Bring these guys back into the realm of the living.
Does seem sort of like a bad idea to use the sword as the actual, like, mechanism in which you stopped time with.
Yeah.
Because it's like, because then this happens. Like, what if you need it to stop the evil again? It's a very temporary fix, but that's pretty much the entire backstory of this game. It was a temporary fix because they couldn't think of anything better. It's like, can't stop Gandor? Drown the planet. Can't stop evil from getting the sword? Use it to stop time. What?
It makes for a really cool set piece though. Like, those guards, the Moblins and the Darknuts, they just, like, resumed their patrols as if nothing had happened.
So were they patrolling or were they actually hunting the sword?
I think they were hunting for the Master Sword, yeah.
So they were resuming their search then, okay.
They see the statue of the hero of time and it's like, oh, it's just a pedestal with a statue on top of it. All their might combined would probably have not been enough to shift it.
They hadn't played enough video games, so they were unaware of what you should do when you see a block puzzle in the middle of a room. Yeah, so here's what I was talking about was the stained glass in this room are all the sages from Ocarina of Time. Because this is in the timeline where they all were awakened and they all sealed Ganondorf. Not effectively, so I don't know why we're celebrating them when they couldn't even do one thing right. And then meanwhile, in another timeline, they're commemorated by having towns named after them, being in Adventure of Link, Zelda 2.
There's going to be a lot of destruction here, so I hope you've got some topics on hand, Mexi, because the rest of this part is basically going to be us clearing out Hyrule Castle.
Well, I guess the first thing to mention would be the reason you can't escape is because of that electric fence, but thankfully this is Wind Waker, so the geography is wanky as crap, so you can use a bomb clip to, once again, get yourself out of the geometry and use your leaf to float out of the castle.
Nice.
One of many ways. No, here's the weird thing. Despite there being a million clips in the game, and pretty much all of them kept in the HD remake because those weren't in YouTube videos that they looked up to patch, the one big thing is that there is another exit on the other side, and that leads to a bridge that leads to the rest of Hyrule. But there's a huge ass barrier. And that has never, they can't break it.
Yeah.
That is the holy grail of the Wind Waker glitches, is barrier skip. That is a joke that is long running, and everyone makes the joke, but I say give it 10 years tops. They're gonna find barrier skip, and Wind Waker is gonna turn into, like, an hour-long game.
Babby's first speedrun.
No, Babby's first speedrun is probably Pokemon Yellow.
Well,
Just do a couple menuings and get yourself from your house all the way to the Hall of Fame.
or maybe a Sonic game, because they're pretty short regardless.
No, Sonic games are hard as fuck to speedrun.
I don't know why I brought up the Wind Waker there. Maybe I'm hoping to poke their eyes out.
That actually sounds terribly violent. I approve of it. Do it. This is also a great place to catch up on any grinding for, I believe, the champion belts?
Hero Crests, I think.
Where did I get champ? Okay. Well, the crests from the Darknuts, and what do you get from the Moblins?
The skull necklaces.
Yeah. So there's a good place that you can do a lot of item grinding, so use your grappling hook to get the item and then finish them off. Or if you just are really feeling impatient, get rid of them as soon as possible. I do like how this is pretty much an area for you to just have free reign. You've gotten a good chunk of your inventory, so, I mean, you can experiment with your items, you can go long range, you can go short range, you can be sneaky, like attack enemies on the first floor from the second floor balcony. You have a lot of options on how you can actually take down this room, and it's all a matter of how fun you want to be.
Yeah. It also gets, like, kind of creepy when you're going down these narrow parts of the room.
Gets a little, I'm trying to remember what freaking genre it is, but like with Metal Gear Solid games.
Stealth.
Yeah, there you go, stealth tactics.
Well, this time we have our sword, so kind of sucks for you, doesn't it, Moblin buddy?
Remember when this guy was a mini boss?
Ah.
Adorable. Also, I don't know if we've shown it off, but enemies have friendly fire, which is hilarious.
It's pretty great, especially in these, like I said, these narrow parts of the room.
Get wrecked.
Damn, he was clipping through the floor, did you see that?
I told you, this is Wind Waker. The floors and walls don't really exist.
I love how they go like hand to hand when they lose their swords and shields as well.
But yeah, they're a resourceful enemy, and they're meant to be a bit difficult, and they can be if for some reason you don't know how to use your reaction commands.
Talking about the darkness here, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, the Moblins are baby enemies. Damn, son, you're falling through the floor more than Link does.
Kaboom.
It's also a really good place for rupees, I didn't realize.
It's just a nice change of pace because unless you're like really bad at the game, it's just very cathartic to take down all these guys after going through the dungeons to get the pearls and the like.
You can't even really complain for being boring because you have so many options for taking them down. If you're like, oh, I'm just swinging my sword a whole bunch, it's like, then don't. Use some bombs. Use your arrows. Hell, have the enemies kill themselves. Be creative.
I wonder if you could go through the whole room doing that, just have enemies kill other enemies and then just kill the final one.
Well, I'm sure you could. Because I know that these Darknuts, they can definitely go upstairs, so you would have to corral them towards the other guys. I'd really like to see that if someone like went through all the effort of doing a pacifist to the last enemy run of this castle. It's a shame though that they don't really react to each other. They react to Link. They react to obviously their weapons being knocked out of their hand, but they don't really react to, I mean, other than physics wise, but none of them have like inter-enemy interactions. I mean, I know that's just asking for too much, but it would have been kind of cool, like, seeing, I don't know, Moblins snort at each other, or even, like, report to the Darknuts.
Well, the GameCube probably would have died if you tried to put those little touches in.
Oh, I'm sure, like, this isn't a complaining that this needed to be in the game to make it better. I'm just saying that if we get to the point where Zelda games can have enemies do that, I would love that. Because they've already given the enemies enough charm without that. But I'm just saying that would have been, that's another way that it can be achieved.
Yeah. I think this is the final guy.
I hope it is. I'm running out of bullshit topics. We can talk about the weather again and how hot it is.
I'd rather not.
Get that 1 rupee. I need it. That is the 1 rupee that will save this entire run.
Well, that was the fare that we had to pay to actually unlock the electric barriers. It wasn't actually killing all the guys.
Raising enough rupees. Damn it, they told me that money was a big issue in Zelda games, but I didn't believe them.
Okay, let's go take a look at this barrier before we head back to Coral.
Take a good look at it, and all of it's not physically being there. Like I say, 10 years. We will find it. I believe. And it extends all the way. Like, they have found ways to clip through literally every floor and every wall in this game, but that barrier is the one thing Nintendo decided to properly program.
They did not want you getting on the luscious green grass of underwater Hyrule. No, it's just too sacred.
Yeah, what people don't realize is that the person who actually put up that barrier was the Hyrulean royal gardener. He was just really sick and tired of people walking on the grass.
Wow, if that's how powerful a gardener is in, like, Hyrule, imagine how powerful the king is.
Well, I'm sure. I hope we meet him someday.
Yeah, that would be good.
Believe it or not, you can actually drown in this pool of water.
That's pathetic.
Yeah. I think it's hilarious, though. But it makes sense with how stubby Link's little legs are.
And away we go.
To space.
Now just back to the Great Sea.
Oh.
Oh, I hope we don't have to go back there someday.
All that magic, and all it's being utilized for, is a magical elevator.
Now we've got like exposition and such out of the way. A lot more coming next part, don't worry. But there's still a few things we need to do before this part ends. Primarily, we need to get our traditional warp song, so the Great Sea can be made that much less great.
Oh yeah, in terms of the two types of warp songs, this is the one song all location as opposed to multiple songs, multiple locations.
Mm-hmm.
Which, I like having a variety of music, but I do see the benefit of having one song, all locations. Because, people will tend to complain that I can never memorize Nocturne of Shadow. It's like, well, that seems like your problem. Because it's a great tune.
Well, at least in the 3DS version, they gave you like a sheet of stuff, like with the correct commands and the like, and they do the same thing here on the gamepad.
So this Kami spirit, whatever, I want to call him Kami just because, again, they remind me of the Landorus trio. He's the brother to the one that we saw during the Wind's Requiem cutscene, and he's actually the Kami whose altar was damaged. That's not a song, you're just floating around, man.
Must have like a choir of angels following him. Oh, he's doing the melody again.
He hires them, they're on his payroll, to make sure that they are on hand every time the Ballad of Gale is needed.
This guy's Cyclone is actually in like certain locations. It can be found really close to the Tower of the Gods, but for whatever reason it was not there in the cycle I was, so I kind of had to go looking for it.
Oh yeah, you can find him before you get the bow and arrow, but you need it in order to get the Ballad of Gales.
Yeah, if you were trying and attack him before you have the bow and arrow, no, the boomerang will not suffice. He will just toss you to a different part of the ocean.
And laugh at you!
It hurts. The laughs pierce my soul, much like an arrow from our bow.
Damn, brah. That's poetic.
We have to go to the Forsaken Fortress, but unfortunately, the warp point closest to it is kind of a dead end, so we're going to have to sail from another one. We'll see you guys next time.